Part 7 of the Corvette build. We're getting closer. In this part, we're going to work on the fuel system and the engine wiring harness. Working on getting the new fuel system installed. I got this tank from BRP Hot Rods. It's a Tanks Inc. tank, and they supply the sending unit and fuel pump. It's a 255 liter pump. I actually don't have all the filler neck stuff for this year of cars, so I had to order all of that, and it was on back order. It was very difficult to get these straps around this tank and to be able to get them into the hole where the bolt goes through. They seemed like they were short. And then it didn't come with any instructions. So this is an EFI fuel tank and has this special part right here. It took me a little while to figure out where that thing went. Once I figured it out, it was okay because the strap was really loose. So I wish you luck on getting these straps where they need to go. It was very difficult. I can't imagine trying to do this with the body on the car. It was so much easier without it. Along with the fuel tank, I bought the line and regulator kit as well. The nice part was it came with everything, so I didn't have to try to source out all the parts myself. This is actually a C5 filter regulator, so you can go to a parts store and just get a new one. I've got most of the fuel system plumbed. I'm missing the fitting here, that's why that's not connected. But we got it attached, so we won't have any vibration. Down here, I think I mentioned it before, that's a C5 Corvette filter regulator. So you got feed and return here, that's all the longer the return has to be, and then there's just one line that goes to the front. So I ran it kind of where the factory line goes, and I've clamped it all the way along the frame rail. Now when I get up to the front, I need to see how it meets up with the body, and then I can cut the hose to length and then add the fitting to put it onto the fuel rail. I'm going to get started on the wiring harness for the engine. This came out of a LS1 Trans Am manual car. It's in pretty rough shape, but I think it'll be fun and challenging to figure out how to make it a standalone harness. LT1swap.com has a whole bunch of documents, and I went ahead and copied those into Word and printed those out, so that should help. Got most of the covering off. It was old, brittle, and dirty. There's the pile of stuff I'll throw away. So now I'm going to go through and start removing the wires that I don't need. Something else I'm going to do, this is the MAF off a LS2 or I guess the Z06 Corvettes had them also. But it's a 5-pin MAF, which has your intake air temp sensor in it as well. So on an LS1 you have 2 wires. I'm just going to get the plug, cut these off, and rewire it for that. I won't do that till it's in the car though, and I know where the MAF's going to be. Other than that, stuff like air conditioning and all the emissions stuff, we'll just remove all that. So here we go. There are a few areas that are covered in oil and dirt back here on the back of the motor, the intake, and all the stuff that was down in the transmission. So I'm going to take some purple power and I'm going to scrub all that and try to get all that oil and dirt off. Okay, I've got all the unnecessary stuff removed. This is the pile of wire and connectors that I took out. So now what I can do is I can put it onto the motor and relocate some connectors. Like for instance, I've already moved the front O2 sensor. It used to follow the harness all the way up to here, but the O2s are going to have to be further back, so I've relocated it. So I'm going to convert this from a 3-pin MAF with the air intake temp sensor separate to the bigger MAF with the 5-pin, which has both sensors in the MAF. You can see how long the harness is for the LS1. We know there's not a lot of room here in the C3, so the throttle body is going to be here and the MAF's going to be really close to it, so this should be plenty of wire. So I'm going to cut these to be the same length, so the harness is all the same. I'm going to strip a 1/4 inch off of each wire. Now these are sealed connectors, so you have to put the seals onto the wire with the small end facing out and just line it up with the end of the insulation. This is what keeps the moisture out of the back of the connectors. You got to make sure you have the right crimpers for these type of contacts, and I like to preload it into the die and so it'll hold it for me. Put just a little bit of pressure. Now the small part of the seal is going to go into the back crimp. The wire goes into the front crimp. So make sure you get that seal in there far enough. So see, the front crimp grabs the wire, the back crimp grabs the seal. All right, and then using the wire diagram, we're going to insert the contacts. I got one off of LS1 Tech. So pin one from the back is the tan wire. And I'm going to double check. You can see the air intake temp sensor here, and I know that it's these two pins over here from looking down in the connector. So if I were to put this on, yes, that is correct. It would be contacting the right sensor. So I'm starting from the correct side. So you push those in until they lock down, until you hear them click. And it's in. Do not push this purple thing in until you're done. This double locks the pins in. If you push it in, you won't be able to put any more pins into the connector. Next. Purple. Black. Pink. And the last one is yellow. When you have all the wires in, and push the front part, push the purple part in. So now I'm going to make sure that it connects. It connects well. Too well. All right, then the last step is you have this retainer, and it looks like it goes on this way. So it's separate, keeps all the wires separate. And it pushes the seals down into the connector. Just like that. And the last step, what I'll do is I'll take the electrical tape, and this will keep the wires, so if somebody pulls, because you know we all do it, pulls on the harness instead of the connector to get it off, it'll pull on all the wires instead of just one. All right, connector's on. You should always put dielectric grease into the connectors. Dielectric grease repels moisture and will keep the contacts from corroding. It is not conductive. All right, in this part, we worked on the fuel system. We got it all plumbed in. We got the C5 filter regulator mounted. We got the line mounted all the way to the front. Once we put the body back on, we'll figure out where that hose needs to mount to the fender. We also worked on the wiring, the engine wiring. We took out all the unneeded wires, cleaned it all up, and wrapped all of it to protect it. Next is to put the body back on the car, get the battery cables ran inside the car, and start wiring up the computer. Thanks for watching.